Hello everyone, my name's Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon deck profile video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at EX06, and EX6 offers us lots of new and powerful tools in order to build and iterate on some new and existing decks. And today's deck I'm going to be taking a look at is going to be the Three Great Angels deck. So the Three Great Angels deck is kind of a new deck. We have had angel decks before, but they weren't really good, and this deck is a lot better than what we had before, especially since Dominimon is the key star player of this deck and the main boss monster we're going to be using and abusing for how this deck flows and functions. So it is still a yellow deck, and it also is a vaccine deck, so that means we could use the yellow vaccine engine to allow us to move quickly and get free and cheap evolutions. Then Dominimon with his protection ability makes it really hard for the opponents to remove our Digimon. It does cost us security to do so, but because we're yellow, we have ways to be able to recover, to be able to keep itself in the game, as well as being kind of a swarm deck that also has lots of defensive and removal tools to handle the opponent's threats. So the deck's biggest weakness is the fact that it is reliant on the security in order to keep our Digimon around. So without any security, the deck kind of just falls apart. So we're trying to ideally not be in that situation, but we could still get caught in that situation. The deck also has a lot of RNG elements to it, with looking into our security and hoping specific things are in there. So without the proper setup, we're basically going in blind, and that could be a little bit on the risky side when it comes to hoping everything is going to work out in your favor. Then yellow doesn't exactly have the best ways to DP boost their Digimon, so the deck does struggle being able to get over high walls, especially if those high walls can't be shrunken down or removed. But overall, the deck is still a really fun and interesting deck with a lot of different ways that we could build it, because there's just a lot of good yellow vaccine and angel support we could throw in here. So with all that said and done, let's just dive right into this deck profile and see what I'm working with. Starting off with the Digitamas are kind of flexible. It really just depends on the abilities you want to be prioritizing. So I'm going to be running 4 copies of Kiaromon as the main Digitama for this deck, because I'm a more aggressive player, and Kiaromon having easy access for this deck to gain the jamming ability, because it just triggers when cards are being removed out of our security stack, which yellow has tons of ways of doing, is just really easy on making sure our Digimon are going to be as safe as they can, swinging into the opponent's security. But the deck, it does have a whole bunch of other really decent Digitamas that you could play, again, depending on what you're trying to prioritize in terms of helping it with its memory efficiency, draw power, or even setup potential. Then when it comes to the level 3s, I'm just going to be running a fairly simple, well-rounded yellow vaccine package. So I'm going to be running 2 copies of the BT15 Salamon. So this is a way to be able to try to take cards out of our security and try to up the deck's overall consistency by adding that top card into our hand. That's if we have 3 or more security, and then if we have 2 or fewer security, this is actually a really good way at being able to recover ourselves and actually put cards into our security, because we get to place a yellow vaccine traded card from our hand to the top or bottom of our security stack, so we could kind of help rig it for what we need it to do. Then the inheritable ability is not too shabby either, with an all turns ability that triggers once per turn. When a card is removed from our security stack, then one of the opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP, so it's even adding in some extra little bits of control. Then I'm also going to be running 4 copies of the BT14 Patamon. So this is the main Digimon we actually want to stack build with, because it does have an ability that triggers at the start of our main phase. We get to search our security and digivolve into a yellow vaccine traded Digimon for free. And if we digivolved, then we get to place a yellow vaccine traded card from our hand to the bottom of our security stack, also having an alternative way to rig it, so we could try to put the Digimon we need played into our security. Then Patamon also has a nice inheritable ability where when a card is added to our security stack, which it does see its own main ability, then we get to gain 1 memory during our turn once per turn. So it's just a way to easily climb and generate some extra memory to make our plays that much more impactful. And then I'm also going to be running 4 copies of Luxmon. So Luxmon is going to be the primary searcher or digger for this deck because we get to check the top 3 cards, and then we get to add a Digimon with Angel or Archangel in its traits, and a Digimon with 3 Great Angels in its traits from among them into our hand. Then the rest obviously go back to the bottom, so it's allowing us to potentially hit 2 targets. Then also its inheritable ability isn't too shabby for helping with the overall consistency because it's just a simple when attacking ability where if this Digimon is an Angel, Archangel, or 3 Great Angel, then we get to draw a card. And then Kudamon is kind of just trying to be some extra copies of Luxmon, where it's another searcher or digger. This time it's looking for yellow vaccine traded Digimon and yellow Tamers. Then, when it comes to the level 4s, I'm just going to be running mostly some Angemons because the deck is an Angel deck, and Angemon has some really decent cards that we could use, like the BT8 Angemon. I'm running at 3 copies because during your turn, when this Digimon would Digivolve, if we have 3 or fewer cards in our security, we get to recover 1, so it's just another card to help us try to maintain our security the best that we possibly can. And it even has a nice inheritable ability of when attacking, if we have 3 or more cards in our security, then we get to bounce one of the opponent's level 3 Digimon back to their hand, having some good alternative forms of removal, especially for some pesky floodgates. Then I'm also going to be running 3 copies of Angemon from BT14. So this is just another decent card that's trying to, well, be an angel for us to go into. And it has a nice control element attached to it for specific matchups because it has a nice when attacking ability where we get to delete this Digimon to activate one of the following effects, which is either placing one of the opponent's virus-traded Digimon to the bottom of their security stack, while also having the alternative option to just give one of the opponent's Digimon minus 5,000 DP for the turn. And then it has an on-delete ability to coincide with the fact that its when attacking ability wants us to delete this Digimon to, again, try to maintain our security because we get to place this card at the bottom of our security stack. Then if we have a Tamer, we also get to hatch an egg in our raising or breeding area, so we could refresh it. Then it also has a nice inheritable ability that also is trying to help manage our security with an on-delete effect to place 1 yellow vaccine traded card from our hand to the bottom of our security stack, again, having an alternative way to try to rig our security. And then the last champion of the deck isn't an angel, but it is one of the better yellow vaccine traded cards, and that's going to be 4 copies of the BT15 Gatomon. So this card is a really fantastic card because we do have the ability to trash our own security due to some of our effects, and if this card just so happens to be in our security when it's trashed, then we get to play it for free, which is really nice at being able to spawn out an extra body out of nowhere. Then this extra body also has the barrier ability, and it even has a nice all turns ability where once per turn, when a card is removed from our security stack, then we get to gain 1 memory. So again, just more memory management, which is never a bad thing. And then when it comes to the level 5s, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Magnet Angemon. So this is the BT16 Magnet Angemon, and this is one of, if not the best card to combo off with how Dominimon wants to work, which is why we're using him, because he has a really powerful on-play and when digivolving ability that gives us the extra flexibility on utilizing him in different ways, where if it's your turn, we get to search our security stack, and this Digimon may digivolve into a Digimon with Angel or 3 Great Angel in its traits from among them for a reduced cost of 2. Then we get to shuffle our security stack, and if this effect digivolved, then we also get to place 1 Digimon with Angel, Archangel, or 3 Great Angel from our hand to the bottom of our security stack to try to maintain and rig our security. Then this card also has a really nice inheritable ability where during the opponent's turn, all of our Digimon with Angel, Archangel, or 3 Great Angel in their traits gain the blocker ability to try to wall out the opponent's Digimon as we spawn a massive or mini field of Angels. And then the only other level 5 that I'm going to be running is 4 copies of Angelwomon Ace. So Angelwomon Ace is just one of the other best cards that works with how Dominimon works. So not only does she have that hand counter Blast Digivolution ability because she's an Ace Digimon for some good defensive plays on the opponent's turn, but her on-play and when Digivolving ability allows us to trash the top card of our security stack, which could trigger some of our abilities, and we also get to have one of the opponent's Digimon get minus 6,000 DP until the end of their turn, which that debuff persisting until the end of their turn is absolutely huge, especially if we're using it on our turn in combination with some of our other DP-based removal effects to try to stack it and pop the opponent's Digimon on their turn if they have some protection that's going to be falling off. Then she also has an all turns ability that triggers once per turn, where when a card is removed from your security stack, if we have 3 or fewer cards in our security, then we get to recover 1, which is one of the other primary uses on how we're going to be using Angelwomon Ace, is so that way when we're going to be losing cards in our security, Angelwomon Ace, especially if we have multiple of them on our field, are going to help maintain our security for us. And then when it comes to the level 6s, I kind of wanted to try to fit in at least one more level 6, but I was really having a tough time with it, so I don't exactly know where I would try to fit in that 9th level 6, but what I have has been working out so far. So I'm going to be running 4 copies of Dominimon as the main level 6 Digimon for this deck. So Dominimon has the ability where he can search our security stack and play a level 5 or lower Angel or Archangel traded Digimon from among them for free. Then we get to shuffle our security, and one of the opponent's Digimon gets minus 7,000 DP for the turn. So we could either play out Angelwomon Ace, or we could play out Magna Angemon from BT16, and this is kind of where we kind of form a little bit of a loop, because Magna Angemon will trigger his on-play ability off of being played from Dominimon to ideally Digivolve into another Dominimon to search out another Magna Angemon, or just whatever other level 5 or lower Angel that's in our security, so we could try to build that way. So that's kind of the whole little interaction on being able to spawn a massive board really quickly, and why I'm maxed out on Dominimons is so that I can try to see this more consistently. Then he even has an all turns ability, which is really impactful because when one of your Digimon with an Angel, Archangel, or 3-Gear Angel in its traits would leave the battle area, other than by your effects or a battle, we get to trash the top card of our security stack to prevent that Digimon from leaving the field. So this is just the good protection that we've kind of been wanting to keep our Digimon around, and that's why Barrier is really important for this deck, because it covers the one weakness in Dominimon's protection. And then as far as the other 3 great angels that I'm going to be running, because Dominimon's just an angel, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Ophanimon Ace. So she is another Ace Digimon, and she has an on-play and when Digivolving ability, where we get to trash the top card of our security stack, and one of the opponent's Digimon gets minus 8,000 DP until the end of their turn. So again, it's that sticky kind of removal, which is really important to try to bypass those protections in case they fall off. Then she even has a really impactful all turns ability that does kind of combo with Dominimon and his protections, where when a card is removed from your security stack, if it's your turn, this Digimon gains security attack plus, and if it's the opponent's turn, we get to recover 1. Again, having an alternative way to maintain our security, or if it's during our turn, we just get a hit hard, which allows us to put lots of pressure onto the opponent. And then the last mega of the deck is going to be 2 copies of Cherubimon Ace. So Cherubimon Ace is another Ace Digimon. This time it has the Alliance ability built in, and a nice on-play and when Digivolving. where we get to play a green or yellow level 4 or lower Digimon from our hand for free. Then until the end of the opponent's turn, one of their Digimon gets minus 4,000 DP for each of our other Digimon. So it doesn't include itself, but at worst it's still just a minus 4k, but ideally with Dominimon and Magna Angemon, we want to try to flood the field as quickly and efficiently as we can, which would just make Cherubimon Ace's ability even better when we're utilizing it. And again, we could kind of see a running theme in a lot of the DP reduction that I'm going to be running, where this is just more sticky DP reduction. And then when it comes to the Tamers, I'm going to be running 4 copies of TK Takashi from BT14 because it's just a really powerful card and it plays well with the yellow vaccine engine being one of its key pieces. So it has the on-play ability to return the top card of our security stack to our hand and place 1 yellow vaccine-traded Digimon from our hand to the bottom of our security stack, allowing us to start rigging our security so we could try to see the Digimon we want and need in our security to make our effects that much more consistent. Then it also has a secondary ability where during your turn, when a card is added to your security, we get to suspend this Tamer to gain a memory, and he does see himself do his on-play effect, which allows us to then basically make this Tamer a 2-cost Tamer, and on subsequent turns, just start generating free resources. And then the last Tamer of the deck can kind of just be a flex spot, but I do like what TK Inkari is doing for this deck because it's an alternative way to give our Digimon barrier so we could try to cover Dominimon's weakness as best as we can in terms of the hole in his protection. So at the start of our main phase and when we play this card, one of our yellow Digimon gains barrier until the end of the opponent's turn, and during your turn, when one of your Digimon is played or Digivolves, if that Digimon just so happened to be an Angel, Archangel, or 3 Great Angel, we get to suspend this Tamer to gain a memory to try to help make some of those plays more efficient as well. Then when it comes to the options, I'm just running a fairly simple, well-rounded option lineup. So I'm going to be playing 2 copies of Emissary of Hope because it's just part of the yellow vaccine engine on being absolutely broken to try to get up into our higher stages that much quicker. Because for the low cost of 1, we get to search our security stack and have one of our Digimon Digivolve into a yellow level 6 or lower Digimon card with vaccine in its traits for free. Then we get to shuffle our security stack, and if we have TK on our field, we also get to recover 1, replacing the card that we just lost. Then the security ability is not too shabby either by allowing us to play a Patamon from our hand or trash and add this card into our hand so we could use it later. Then I'm also going to be running 2 copies of Physical Training because it's just one of the best searching or digging tools. It could technically be a memory boost if you really wanted it to, but because we still have other options and Tamers that we want to try to find, Physical Training just seems like it's the better card, especially since it's also cheaper compared to memory boosts as well. And then the last option of the deck is going to be another tech or flex spot, so it can really be whatever you feel like you want it to be. I'm just going to choose to run 2 copies of Megalospark because it's just a really cheap removal option. And that's kind of it for the build. This is just my interpretation of the build, and like I said before, there's a couple of things that I kind of still want to try to play around with and change to try to make it a little bit better, but I do like the direction that I currently have it at, where I'm trying to rely more on passive recursive recovery rather than instant one-time recoveries to try to maintain our security for when the opponent is going to try to attack into our security or delete our Digimon, so we could try to take full advantage of Dominimon's abilities. And it's not like this is the only way to build the deck. There is just a lot of other various tech and tools that the deck can use because of the multiple different avenues of cards and synergies that the deck is playing with. It all just depends on what you have access to, what you want to prioritize in terms of effects-wise, and the expected meta that you're going to be facing, so that way you could try to tech the deck to be able to handle those decks better. And it's not like this deck is dead in the water either. There actually is going to be some future support coming out in BT18, further extending and enhancing what this deck is capable of.